The vast majority of exercises that you'll encounter as a part of your Priority Strength program will have either a 1 or an X in the third digit of your tempo. That means that with very few exceptions, you can move up relatively quickly. But there are exceptions, and they are important. You might find that certain remedial shoulder exercises like Powell raises or trap 3 raises call for you to take 2 seconds on the way up. That is, to intentionally move more slowly than you otherwise would. Normally, we reserve moving more slowly for the down phase of a lift, but here we slow things down on the way up as well. And here's why. At the risk of stating the obvious, an exercise is generally only effective if the desired muscles are actually being subjected to some work. It sounds straightforward enough, but you'd be surprised how easily your body can shortcut around work without you even realizing it. Take this single arm bent over lateral raise, for example. So long as you're using a dumbbell, the first half of the movement is much easier because you're not exactly lifting the weight up. It's moving in more of an arc, and the first part of this arc is much more side to side. This means that you're not really moving against the force of gravity, which makes it feel easier. It's kind of like the difference between lifting a barbell up versus rolling it around the ground. Kind of. But once you get to the top half of the movement, now things get hard. Gravity is pulling against the direction that you're trying to move, which makes it much more challenging. Which also means that this is by far the most important part of the movement. This is where your muscles actually have work to do, provided you're doing it correctly. The trouble comes when you move too quickly in the earlier, easier part of the movement, and you use that opportunity to build momentum. If you move quickly, you now have some pretty significant inertia working in your favor. The dumbbell wants to keep moving, which means you have to put less work to actually move it yourself. This is not really what we want. Sure, swinging the weight from the bottom might allow you to use more weight, but one, that's not usually a great rationale for making decisions about your training at all. And two, I can promise you that nobody cares how much weight you use for a single arm bent over lateral raise. What's far more important, of course, is the training effect that you're receiving from a lift. And in the case of this family of exercises, that means not using inertia to your advantage. We want to save that work for your muscles to do. The best way to do this, well, slow down. Move more slowly so you don't build up any momentum, which means that those very important muscles that help to keep your shoulders and upper back properly stable will actually get the exercise that we want them to. Simple. It isn't often that you see a 2 in that third digit, but when you do, you can rest assured that there's a good reason for it. Just like every other variable in your Priority Strength workouts.